your government, city, state, or federal, post office, courts, police, IRS, Apple, Microsoft, or any other major entity will never call them, email, or text for anything, especially late taxes, unpaid traffic tickets, or warnings that their computer or bank account has been compromised. This will never happen. Always hang up and ignore. Sign up for my free newsletter at getkim.com. Every time you go online, internet providers track your every move. Here in the United States, they're selling our browsing history, even in private mode. Until that becomes illegal, protect yourself like I do with ExpressVPN, an easy-to-use app that encrypts and reroutes all your internet traffic through secure servers. By using ExpressVPN, my internet provider cannot see my browsing history. I can hide my IP address, the number identifying me, and my location online. And I can change my IP address to be more anonymous online. With servers in over 100 countries, I can appear virtually anywhere I choose. ExpressVPN is so easy to use. Get connected with a single button, with apps for every device like phones, laptops, desktops, and tablets. Get up to 4 months of ExpressVPN for free at expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim. Go now while you're thinking about it. Get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN for free right now at expressvpn.com/Kim.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Well, hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome into Talkback here on a Friday morning. I'm Al Quartermont, as usual. What's unusual is that I have Nathan Martin with me this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm about as unusual as it gets. I'm well. How are you doing?
Well, I wasn't meaning it in that context.
I'm messing with you.
What I was meaning is that you're not normally here or available on a Friday.
That's right. Grace Christian School is on their Easter break this week, so I happened to be available when the 2 ladies were unavailable. So this is a break from the norm. It's the bro show today on Friday, because normally it's a guy and girl every day.
Yeah, for sure. So we're looking forward to it today at 318-442-8255 on the BOM Bank Talkline. We'd love to have you join in the conversation. Coming up at 8:30, we have a representative with Meta. That's the parent company that owns Facebook and Instagram. And she'll be here to talk about more of the processes that are being put in place to protect teens from online exploitation.
Very important conversation. And actually, on the Daily Wire this morning, there was more conversation about sexploitation and the things that are happening, targeting our youth. So I'm grateful that she'll come on and explain their plans on how to make our kids safer.
For sure. The NFL draft was last night, at least the first round. It's amazing how the draft has changed over the years to where they used to do it over a couple of days, but it was a longer draft. But now they've cut it down to 7 rounds, and they make a full production of it with primetime broadcast of night 1, round 1. Today they'll have the second round, maybe the third too, and I'll have to double check on that. And then they finished it up on Saturday with the rest of the rounds. But it's crazy because, you know, it used to be back in the day. I remember I think the first NFL draft that they really kind of broadcast was 1984, maybe on ESPN, where you had Mel Kiper, I think Chris Berman, and I think they only did the first couple of rounds, and then they had to go to like a tractor pull event on ESPN. I know Mel Kiper jokes about that. But now to see what it has become, in fact, last night, of course, you had the parent channel, ESPN, with their full broadcast that has Mel Kiper still on there. And then ABC, they had their version of the draft coverage, which was kind of more of their college game day crew, including Kirk Herbstreit, so we know which one Trish was watching. And then, of course, you have the NFL Network that does their own version. So you had 3 different telecasts of the same product for just the first round, which is the first 30 picks. And it was live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, where the NFL now has started to move around the draft every year at different host locations. And April weather in Wisconsin can be kind of hit and miss. And not terrible, but I think it was only about 50 degrees when the draft started, and it probably dropped down to about 40. But nonetheless, they had like over 100,000 people crammed into the square that they do this, and they kept showing the overhead shots or the drone shots, and I'm just like, how do people get out? Because it wasn't like there was seating. They were just all standing in this square. How'd you get out to go to the bathroom, and then how would you find where you were? You know, like if you were with your family or friends or whatnot. So, but man, the crowd was enthusiastic. It started off with former Packer Clay Matthews, retired linebacker, who kind of interrupted the NFL commissioner. He said, I got a message, and he pulls out a letter saying that it was from President Trump. I don't think it really was, but he said the message is the Bears still suck. And they got a huge ovation, of course, from the partisan audience. And then it was underway with the first pick of the draft going to the Titans, Cam Ward, the quarterback. Then it got interesting where you had a trade which allowed the number 2 pick to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they took Travis Hunter, who was the Heisman Trophy winner, young man from Colorado who can play both defense and offense, kind of a rarity these days. And yeah, so only 2 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Jackson Dart from Mississippi, the Giants traded into the first round to take him. A couple of interesting points on that. The Saints had been rumored to be interested in him as a potential pick, but the Giants, I guess, wanted him just a little more badly, so they traded up to get him, which is, again, interesting because the Giants already had signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, so now you're bringing in a third quarterback. I guess they're thinking they'll give him a year or 2 to develop, so it makes some sense there. But the big story, I guess, of the night would have been Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Sanders, was supposed to go in the first round. Some felt like he was the best quarterback in the draft, others not as much. There's been a lot of information kind of swirling around him the last few days about not so much character issues with doing wrong things or bad things, but maybe being more of an entitled athlete, which you can kind of see from the way things went down at Colorado the last couple of years. So he did not get drafted. We'll see what team probably takes him today in the second round.
So you would think.
Yeah. I mean, if it comes back around to the Saints, would they take him? That'd be interesting.
Well, they picked up an O-lineman.
They did. Right? Yeah. The Saints ended up, I think they had the number 9 pick in the draft. They did. And they took Kelvin Banks Jr., who is an offensive tackle from Texas. Pretty big guy. And, hey, the Saints definitely need help on the offensive line, so maybe not a bad pick, not a sexy pick by any means. But here is Kellen Moore, the new Saints head coach, talking about adding this new offensive lineman, Kelvin Banks Jr., to their roster.
Yeah, just through the whole process, he's everything you want your organization to represent. The player, the person, 3-year starter. She's just turning 21 here next month. You meet him, you quickly are gravitated to him as a person, and you put on the film, and he gets after people. You know, he moves people in the run game. He's a great pass protector. He just does an excellent job.
All right, so we'll see. Yeah. Now, the Saints have not exactly been a great franchise for drafting the last 10 or so years. A while back, I went back and was looking at their drafts over the last 10 years. Pretty abysmal, to be honest.
They trade better than they draft.
That's true. That is true. But, man, even a few years ago, when was it, the year that Lamar Jackson was drafted, they traded up, and everyone thought they were going to take Lamar Jackson, and that's when they took that defensive lineman who just kind of flamed out. I don't even remember his name now. At this point, I can picture him. But so we'll see. But what's interesting with the draft is that even you get a lot of players that don't get drafted that still make big impacts. Players that they sign as what they call unrestricted free agents. So sometimes after the draft, people who are invited to camps or invited to come to a team as an undrafted pick end up doing pretty well. So
I was watching a clip the other day when Peyton Manning was drafted, and he was sitting in a room with a bunch of other draft picks. They were all sitting in this one room together. And then now, it seems so low key compared to how it is today. Of course, that was 1984 or whatever.
Right.
But it was such a low key presentation. Oh yeah. Now you talk about 3 different networks, and obviously money is driving all of that.
Sure,
certainly a production.
Oh, big time. And they build it up. And the NFL is all about keeping interest year-round, because even last night they announced that they'll be doing the schedule release where they announce all the team schedules in I think like May 13th or somewhere like that. So they're always keeping interest in the product. And if you've been listening to any of the sports talk shows the last couple of weeks, it's been ad nauseum about the NFL draft, who's going to go first, where are the quarterbacks going to go. This isn't a strong year for quarterbacks. They're saying next year is going to be a much better year. So maybe the Saints are looking at that and thinking, why trade up or take a chance on somebody when maybe we'll get somebody better next year.
Build a foundation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, based on the way things look right now, that the Saints will have a particularly great year, so they may be in a good draft position next year. You just don't know, but, the thing about the NFL is a team can turn it around relatively quickly if they're smart and they draft well and sign some key free agents. That, unfortunately, has not been the story of the New Orleans Saints in the post-Drew Brees, Sean Payton era. Mickey Loomis, the general manager, in my opinion, is very mediocre. And I think the onus is kind of on him right now, especially getting a young, really good offensive-minded head coach like Kellen Moore. I believe in time, if they put the right weapons on that team, Kellen Moore can make them become a good franchise again. But I don't know if Spencer Rattler is the answer, to be very honest. So we'll see. And here was the Saints pick, Calvin Banks Jr. yesterday. He posted this on social media.
Thanks, it's Calvin Banks Jr. I can't be more excited to be joining the Saints. I can't wait to get to New Orleans to be a part of this great organization, this great team, and this great city, man. It's just an exciting moment for me, and I'll see you guys soon. Go Saints.
All right, so seems like a pleasant young man.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's interesting when you watch the draft, too. Some of the players are actually in attendance, some aren't. It seemed like the attendance thing used to be more important, but now you're only getting about half the first-round picks that are actually there. And I wonder about that because you've had times where you've had a pick who's there, and they're sitting in that green room or whatever, that area, the waiting area, and they don't get picked, and it kind of becomes embarrassing.
Right. I think that was kind of my thought with the Peyton Manning thing, where so many of them were there, and then if somebody doesn't, it's a big deal. So, if Sanders is there in the room and doesn't get picked the first round, that's going to feel tough.
Yeah, because there have been guys like that. Brady Quinn, Aaron Rodgers is probably the most famous one, where he was projected to go even first or second, and he kept sliding and sliding and sliding and sliding, and then finally the Packers got their pick, and they're like, well, we'll take him.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
One of the best choices ever, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, he is a Hall of Fame quarterback who still might end up playing this year. There's a lot of speculation about where he might end up going this year. Maybe, I think the Steelers is one team I've heard. I've even heard the Saints mentioned as a possibility.
Well, I wouldn't mind that at all, to be honest with you.
I mean, for a one year thing, if you're looking
for next year's draft, absolutely.
Minnesota is another place where they're talking about, because J.J. McCarthy, their first round pick last year, got hurt and missed the whole season. But is he going to come back fully healthy, or could you bring in an Aaron Rodgers and just get him through one more year and try to make a run at the playoffs with what's an otherwise pretty talented team? It would be funny if he ended up in Minnesota, because he would have taken then the exact same career path as Brett Favre, who went Packers, Jets, Vikings. You'd have Rodgers go Packers, Jets, Vikings. I think that would be pretty crazy. So we'll see what happens in round number 2. Still a lot of great players out there, and we'll see who the Saints will pick. They've got the number 40 pick overall in the second round. They'll have a couple of picks in the third round. Third round is usually where you actually find some franchise builders, I call them, pretty good players. Fourth round, they've got a couple picks. They have a 6th-round pick and 2 7s. So still a lot of news for the Saints to be coming forward. So we'll just have to see. And another player the Saints apparently are interested in is Louisville quarterback Tyler. His name is spelled Shough. Schuff?
Sounds good to me.
I'm not sure. I actually never have heard of him, but somebody posted this today showing a clip of him from the NFL Combine. So we will see, fans. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with more Talkback right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics, with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Walmart is doubling down on discounts at its U.S. stores in the face of economic uncertainty. Meanwhile, the retailer unveiled a program to help Chinese exporters sell their goods at home. Beijing sought solutions to help its local businesses hit by rising U.S. tariffs. For Walmart, it's also an effort to balance its previous demand that Chinese suppliers absorb some of the tariff increases. Apple is looking to import most of the iPhones it sells in the U.S. from India by the end of next year. Our tech writer Mark Gurman says it's the latest sign of Apple and its suppliers accelerating a shift away from China. Southwest Airlines CEO Bob Jordan says the recession has already started for his industry. Jordan said demand for domestic leisure travel has dropped more than he's ever seen outside of the pandemic. Futures are lower this morning after stocks vaulted higher again yesterday. Traders are assessing more mixed signals on U.S.-China trade. But there's also hopes the Fed may cut interest rates earlier than expected. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
April has National Library Week, but at Rapides Parish Library, we're celebrating all month our community, our libraries, and you. Libraries are the heart of our community, and we're showing love with giveaways, prizes, and fun. You need to come in and pick up your free heart-shaped bookmarks just for being awesome. And don't miss out on Library Bingo, where everyone has a chance to win amazing prizes. Bingo! Whether you're a lifelong patron or new to the library, we love you. So come and see us at any branch of the Rapides Parish Library where the heart of our community shines.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back. Al and Nathan with you here on this Friday morning. 442-8255 on the BOM Bank Talkline. Headline from the Rapides Parish Journal this morning. Acadian Ambulance files challenge, hoping to retain parish service. Here's basically what the story is. Acadian Ambulance has filed a challenge to retain ambulance service. The police jury, if you remember, had voted back on April 10th, 5-4 to award a 5-year contract to Pafford Emergency Medical Services, which has Louisiana headquarters in Ruston. Acadian, which is based in Lafayette, has been the parish contract provider for the last 30 years. After nearly a year of review and discussion, the jury held a special meeting April 10th that reportedly lasted about 5 hours. Voting for Pafford to take over were jurors Paris Giles, Randy Harris, Bubba Morrow, Jay Scott, and Craig Smith. Supporting Acadian were Danny Borlon, Sean McLaughlin, Ollie Overton, and Randy Wiggins. Weeks ago, the jury's ambulance advisory committee recommended Pafford EMS based on a scoring system that weighed factors such as response time, available ambulances, and certified staffing. The scoring margin was a mere 1% better than Acadian. In its challenge received Wednesday by the police jury, Acadian questions Pafford's filings in the bidding process, and they say that the scoring system used by the jury was flawed. The challenge will be considered by the jury with a deadline to rule by May 23rd per state law. And another possibly related development, Acadian announced the hiring of Pafford's former Louisiana Chief Operating Officer, Shane Davidson, as its Louisiana Community Relations Director in a posting on his Facebook page earlier this week. Davidson, a ULM graduate with 35 years of industry experience, according to that announcement.
Yeah, and they have the full letter posted there, which is a public document from Acadian Ambulance. It's a 5-page long document that outlines their grievances according to state law. And apparently there is a provision in the law that allows, after an RFP, request for proposal, that you can, if you're not the winning bidder, can contest. And there's certain things that they seem to be contesting. Folks can take a look at that there on the RapidsParishJournal.com's website. And it may inspire some calls this morning. The lines are already starting to light up. People perhaps having opinions about this process that has kind of drug on when we have an announcement of a winner, and then now the folks are like, or some are like, well, I don't know, maybe contesting the way the process was handled. There's a lot of strong feelings on both sides. I can tell you, I've talked to people yesterday. There are people who have very strong feelings on both sides, and it's going to be really interesting to watch the process play out with the Rapides Parish Police Jury.
Yeah, in the letter, they they state that due to our concerns and in addition to the protest, we're in the process of initiating a FOIA, which is a Freedom of Information Act request, where you can garner public records, requesting the scoring sheets of the members of the advisory committee, as well as all responses provided by the awardee upon which the award was deemed to be based, including any relevant communications. And they say, as seemingly acknowledged by members of the police jury in requesting additional review of the submissions back to the committee, we believe that the scoring mechanism used in the RFP was flawed and that it allowed one scorer the ability to determine the outcome by intentionally scoring a respondent low in an effort to skew the scoring of the majority. So, oh boy, here we go. You knew that probably this wouldn't happen without a fight, being that it was that close, and I guess now we get the lawyers involved, so here we go. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How's Alan Nathan doing this morning?
Doing well, thank you very much.
Hey, great. Appreciate you all covering this morning on your radio show. My name's Stephen Sutton. I'm the Public Information Officer for Pafford EMS. And hey, appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all and directly to the people of the parish.
Sure.
And our commitment is simple, to provide high quality, dependable emergency medical care, to the parish. And we understand there's been a lot of public discussion. We welcome that, and even protests from the current provider. But our focus isn't on conflict, it's on care. And the incumbent providers had 30 years for the leadership to fix it. And or else you all wouldn't even know our names. You wouldn't even know who we are. Mm-hmm. So we participated, in the RFP. We've answered, all of their questions. And, of course, there's been a lot of, back and forth, sending it back to the, ambulance committee and so forth. And that still hasn't stopped the citizens from engaging with their leaders, to have more ambulances available in the parish. And we appreciate the overwhelming support from the people. And, really we're focused on solutions, during the month of February, they were on scene in less than 20 minutes, 6% of the time in DeVille. Mm-hmm. And, if the leadership worked as hard on improving those response times as they've worked to block the citizens from having access to emergency medical care, then you all would have never heard of Pafford EMS. And so, we're going to do what we always do, which is take the high road, allow our past performance to predict our future success, provide access to emergency care on behalf of the citizens of Rapides Parish. And, we look forward. The transition process is already underway, and hiring locally, lots of interest. We're looking at where we're going to position our ambulances throughout the parish, preparing for a seamless start to provide an ambulance service that you all deserve. And so what's important here is the care that the residents will receive, and we're here to deliver that to them.
Is there anything in the letter that you feel is warranted, or any comments that you have about that?
Well, I've read the letter. I was participating in the executive session. I was there. I heard exactly what was said, and there were no misrepresentations that were given. And so, that's, one of the concerns is, executive session is executive session. And so we don't engage in that, rather than debate. We just prefer to demonstrate. We were not a part of any type of leak, from the parish jury or however they found out. We're not, we're just staying above the fray, and not interested in engaging in accusations or distractions. We're just here to serve. And in executive session, when you're asked questions, you answer them. And you could be asked questions about a myriad of things. You could be asked questions about, a siblings company, and you're welcome to answer those questions. If you're asked a question, we want to be open-faced and honest with them about their questions, regardless of who it is or what it is. And so we respect differing opinions. There's differing opinions you all mentioned, in the parish, but we stand by our commitment to readiness. And the community there, they deserve emergency care that's responsible. They deserve a company that's reliable, that's rooted in compassion, that's focused on patients, not politics and protest. And, while other people are protesting, we're preparing to increase the level of care that the citizens there are used to receiving.
you mentioned the response time, and I saw a post by a local firefighter who pointed to, I'm trying to find it, where he said, I'm learning more about, this is back in March, Acadia's proposals for improvement. DeVille Fire Department has been tracking response times which have not shown significant improvement and in some cases have worsened. And I've looked for that because you mentioned DeVille tracking. Is that something that they have released that you're aware of?
Yeah, it is a public record. Yeah, they have released it. And if you give me just a second, I don't mind pulling it up and sharing it with you. It may take me just a second.
Okay. Well, while you're looking for that, I will mention that some of the comments I've heard have been from the rural volunteer fire departments who feel like response times were not adequate. And I think they were perhaps some of the ones pushing for this change. And I am curious if you can answer to, what Acadian's current number of ambulances in the parish are and what Pafford's commitment is, if there's a difference in the numbers. While you're also looking, I'm going to have you multitasking, Mr. Sutton.
Yeah, and if you want to take another call, if you've got another call there, you're welcome to do that. And
actually, we do need to take a break. I'll tell you what, we do have to take a break. You can look that up, and we'll come back and talk more.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yep, hang on. So again, we're talking with Stephen Sutton, who is spokesperson for Pafford EMS. We cannot screen calls. We did not expect this call, but since we've got it, we'll stay with it. So we'll come back with more right after this.
KSYL.
Did you know that 71% of all licensed real estate agents did not sell a single property in 2024? Hi, this is Trish Lala. When it's time to make the largest financial decision of your life, buying or selling a home, what's happening in the market really matters. The good news is you actually can still come out ahead if you place your trust in an agency with decades of experience handling all of those ups and downs. When experience matters, we're here for you. The Trish Lala Group.
My mother told me about Pro Carpet and Doug Cleaning when the twins were so sick with allergies and pollen, and boy, did it help, and lowered our utility bill. And we almost have no dust in our house.
50% of all illness is caused by indoor air. 9 out of 10 systems fail because of dirt and dust. Doesn't your family deserve clean air?
For a cleaner, healthier home, call 445-4818. That's 445-4818.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Sinla's best at Bricato's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt-in-your-mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
Jeff Landry is working hard to bring down outrageous insurance costs. Jeff is holding both trial lawyers and insurance companies accountable because they are both to blame. Last year, Governor Landry signed 27 bills to fix insurance and fight lawsuit abuse. This year, Governor Landry is fighting for more to stop frivolous lawsuits, stop uninsured drivers from suing, and end trial lawyer ads that promote a culture of suing. Landry listened to insurance companies and signed into law nearly every bill they promised would drive rates down. Well, insurance broke their promise and rates went up. Now Landry is trying something new. Hold insurance companies accountable when rates go up. Our insurance commissioners should have the power to reject their rate hikes when they rake in billions in profit. To learn about Governor Landry's plan to fix our insurance crisis, visit fixthecrisis.la. Paid for by Protect Louisiana Values.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
All right, we're back on Talkback. Al Quarterman, Nathan Martin with you, and right now we're on the phone with Stephen Sutton from Pafford EMS. He called in response to the story we mentioned off the top, or right at 7:30 this morning, about how Acadian Ambulance has filed a legal challenge to the decision by the Rapides Parish Police Jury to change providers going to Pafford EMS, and some of the points that they bring up in a letter that they have sent to the jury. Stephen called in just to respond. And Stephen, one of the things that you were talking about going to the break is that one of the local areas DeVille had been actually tracking the response times, and it's not exactly a glowing report.
Yeah, that was part of, that's also a public record as well. I guess where DeVille was keeping track of the times to ensure that the people in their fire district, had adequate representation in their time, of emergency. And so, it looks like, according to the records they provided to the police jury in February 2025, that the percentage of time that the incumbent provider was on scene within 20 minutes is 6% of the time. And according to their notes, these were all dispatched 911 calls. These were all 911 dispatched calls. And so I'm not sure the details outside of that, other than what they provided. But, clearly, the citizens of DeVille, that have needed an ambulance and that have experienced emergencies down there, with a 6%, with 6% of those ambulances arriving in less than 20% of the time, they would be familiar with the wait times that are associated, during an emergency. And so, our only priority is, we want to stay mission focused. We want to provide the people of the parish with timely, compassionate, and clinically excellent emergency medical services. That's been our commitment from day one, and it's going to remain our focus every day moving forward. You asked earlier about, the protest. We responded to the RFP transparently, accurately. I'm confident in the selection process. The ambulance committee, according to how they decided to do it, was, they would do a cumulative total. And so, they released the cumulative total, but then they also released, who got, how many votes the incumbent provider received, how many votes Pafford received. And that's okay to release that, except that the way that they decided that it would be decided is based off the point system and not the weighted person on the committee. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we're familiar with change. I know that can be difficult to the community there, especially when long-standing contracts are involved. But public safety decisions should be made in the best interest of the residents, not based on emotion, not based on political pressure, and certainly not based on legacy contracts for 30 years. And so what's in the best interest of the residents of Rapides Parish? We've got a proven track record in multiple parishes across Louisiana, Mississippi, beyond. We're prepared, we're capable, and we're ready. And, we're committed to meeting the timelines, response times, hiring local staff, coordinating with the parish, the fire chiefs, the dispatch, the sheriff's departments, police department, everyone that's involved in the emergency system there to ensure a seamless transition, as well as the hospitals, 3 hospitals that are there.
One of the statements they bring up, I'm reading the letter, is that according to their understanding of the RFP, the contract awardee should be in full compliance by June 10th, which is, a month from now, or a month and a half from now, but that Pafford has requested an extension through August, and they say that failure of the awardee to be in full compliance as of June 10th should be prima facie evidence of non-compliance with the RFP and their certification. What's your response to that?
Well, this contract was supposed to be awarded a long time before now. And because of Acadians' protests and dragging it out and kicking it back, that's why we're here. That's why we're delayed. And so, that's my response.
Gotcha.
I don't want to get distracted by litigation and political maneuvering. I want us to be ready to respond to emergencies when someone calls 911. That's exactly what we're doing. We're getting ready. We're focused on building a strong local workforce to serve the citizens of the parish. And we're going to do that as quickly and as expeditiously and safely as possible. I want to make sure that this transition is done safely and that there's no lapse or gaps in service to the citizens there.
So I had asked you also before the break about what was the number of ambulances that currently are in the parish, and what is Pafford's plans for the number of ambulances that you'll bring into the parish?
Sure. I'm not, I can't speak to, Acadian, and, they talk often about, pulling resources from other parishes and your resources leaving Rapides Parish and going to back up they talk about that, that response system that they have, the regional system of, taking resources from one parish and sending it to another all the time. So I'm not sure how many ambulances are in the parish, but Pafford is committed to 12 ALS ambulances and, in the parish to respond to the peak times and to take care of business. One of the things that we hear from the leaders, Nathan and Al, and I think this is important as well, and we haven't previously brought it up, but I do want to talk about it, is that's ALS ambulances. When you have a fire department that responds to an emergency call, the fire department has a paramedic on scene, and then an incumbent provider sends an EMT basic, or they send an EMT in a response truck or something to stop the clock. Well, the fire department, they're strung out all night waiting on an ALS ambulance to get there. A paramedic can't turn over care to an EMT. Somebody in cardiac arrest, having a stroke, they deserve the highest level of care. And so we've committed to providing those ALS resources to the people there. And that's another source of frustration. When you have a higher level of care on the scene than you got on the ambulance, there's problems in continuity of care and ensuring that citizens receive the highest level of care. And so, I respectfully disagree with the claims that's made by the incumbent provider. The documentation speaks for itself. We trust the legal process. And, we're open faced with the community. We have nothing to hide. We're here on your radio show. We're glad to engage the community, and we look forward to continuing to build, relationships. I think that if there is a breach of the executive session, that needs to probably need to be looked at through the proper legal and government channels. I can say that we played no role in those things. We maintain the highest standards of integrity. And, we were selected based on a competitive scoring by an advisory committee that was affirmed by the police jury. It wasn't a decision that was made lightly. It wasn't a decision that was made without due diligence. We've had numerous meetings. We have been extremely transparent, and we will continue that same transparency with respect to response times. We're here to serve every corner of the parish, from air medical support to 911, and we look forward to bringing that world-class care close to home.
I noticed that you had a meet and greet on April 15th and 16th, so that means you're active that here in Rapides Parish, and you're actively recruiting. Your recruiting going well?
That's right. It is going well, and we're just impressed with the response from all of that, and the positivity from those that are wanting to be a part of something that's new and special for the people of Rapides Parish. I respect the contributions that Acadians made over the years, but this moment is about the future, and our only interest is serving the people of Rapides Parish with excellence, with compassion, and with a new level of accountability.
All right. Well, I know we haven't heard the last on this, but we appreciate you listening and calling in this morning, Stephen.
Hey, we'll be listening and appreciate you all, bringing this to the attention of the citizens, and we look forward to, again, having an open face and engaging in dialogue and continuing to build relationships. Appreciate you all, and hope you have a great day. Hope you had a great Easter, too. It was a great weekend for us here.
Certainly. All right. Thank you. Stephen Sutton from Pafford EMS. Thank you for calling in this morning. We need to take a break.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Need office supplies, janitorial supplies, or office furniture, either new or pre-owned? Then look no further than DTW Office Supply, with wholesale prices on a large selection of top quality products, all with the personalized hometown service that you deserve. We're proud to serve the entire state of Louisiana with daily deliveries right to your door. Visit us today at 1219 MacArthur Drive or online at dtwofficesupply.com. That's DTW Office Supply, your trusted partner for all of your office needs. Quality, value, service.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back. Al and Nathan with you, and like I said, I don't think we've heard the last of this.
I think you're right. But I'm surprised we haven't had more calls this morning, although it may be just breaking news for a lot of people, but obviously Pafford, that's kind of impressive if you think about it. They're paying attention to this, and they're listening to our show this morning, heard us talk about it, and called in. It's been a point of a lot of conversation by a lot of people and the phone just lights again. So maybe somebody else wants to say something.
Yeah, maybe so. Let's take a look. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, it's thank you for taking my call. I was thinking the same thing, Nathan, that it impresses me with them as a company that they would, even though they had won the contract, would still be looking to make sure that they carry their banner forward and they put forth the energy. It's not like, all right, we got y'all in the bag, move on to the next one. And as somebody that lives in the hinterlands, that means a lot to me. And I was not part of the decision-making process or anything, because we live out there. We normally carry ourselves to the hospital. But now that I hear all the back and forth, I'm impressed with these people, and I am concerned, especially now that I'm getting older. That's when you kind of can't care for yourself. So I appreciate y'all being on the forefront, and I think it's a big slip-up by Acadian not to have somebody ready to call in. That's an oversight on their part, especially if they're still trying to win it back. Anyways, y'all are leading the way.
All right.
Well, thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a great weekend.
You too, my friend.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, like I said, I don't think we've heard the last of it.
No.
So.
Well, and according to the letter, or according to the Rapides Parish Journal's reporting, the jury will have to respond by May 23rd. Interestingly, the letter was CC'd to the district attorney as the, not the chief, but one of the law enforcement agencies in Rapides Parish. Let me see who else it went to. I was looking at the letters a second ago. It went to the Honorable Liz Merle, Attorney General for the state of Louisiana, Philip Terrell, District Attorney, Greg Jones, Attorney for the police jury. They were all CC'd in the letter to the police jury. So you're right. It's going to, not rock the boat, but draw attention, and then we'll see where the legal challenges go.
Well, at the end of the day, you're talking about money at stake. So
a lot of money.
Yeah. So that can't be discounted in all of this. So, all right, we got much more coming up in hour number 2. We'll continue our conversations with you on Open Line until 8:30. Then we'll talk with a representative from Meta, talking about ways that they're trying to keep teenagers safe online. Hey, a couple more notes about the NFL draft. Getting back to that, I forgot, somebody shared with me a video. The player that the Saints drafted, he was at home during the draft, and when they showed the video of the Saints announcing the pick, I guess it was his girlfriend or somebody next to him holding the baby, and the baby threw up.
Oh, no.
Hopefully that's not a commentary on the pick. And officially the crowd, they estimated last night in Green Bay, was 205,000 packed in that square, which is impressive because they said for the Pope's funeral or whatnot, that they're expecting a crowd of about 200,000 in the Vatican. So Packer fans outweigh the Pope fans, apparently.
Okay.
Which, if you know Green Bay Packer fans, it's
pretty passionate, right?
Bigger than religion there.
That's bigger than religion. That's right. Reminds me of the Red Sox commercial a few years ago. Yankees suck. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Every single line in the commercial.
Yeah.
Green Bay is just that passionate.
Definitely are. So, all right, more coming up. Stay with us.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump has just made a definitive statement on a U.S. peace plan for Russia and Ukraine. Correspondent Michael Wallace has our top story.
The president tells Time magazine Ukraine will need to give up Crimea, which Russia seized in 2014. Trump says everyone understands that strategic peninsula along the Black Sea has been with Russia for a long time. Trump also says as part of any peace deal, Ukraine will have to drop its attempt to join NATO. He was asked which concessions Russia may make.
Stopping the war. Stopping, taking the whole country. Pretty big concession.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The Kremlin says President Putin is meeting with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff today. Russian officials say they've begun a criminal investigation after a senior military officer was killed in a car bomb outside Moscow. It comes a day after Russian airstrikes killed at least 12 people in Kyiv. Luigi Mangione will be arraigned today on federal murder charges after prosecutors confirmed they'll seek the death penalty if he's convicted of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. CBS's Katrina Kaufman on defense strategy.
Now, what his team says is that this came too early for one. It was premature, that they are saying they're seeking the death penalty, and that it's prejudicial to the case. So they're asking the court to preclude this. They do not want the death penalty sought in this case.
Sentencing begins next hour for George Santos. The former New York congressman faces the possibility of 7 years for fraud. Loyola Law's Lori Levinson.
Even though he pled guilty, which ordinarily would lead to a defendant saying, I accepted responsibility, he followed that guilty plea with basically a tirade against the Department of Justice, disparaging everyone involved, even calling them a cabal of pedophiles.
Public viewing will wind down soon at St. Peter's Basilica, where the Vatican says 150,000 people have now filed past Pope Francis' coffin. It will be sealed ahead of tomorrow's funeral. Correspondent Nora O'Donnell from the Vatican.
The Mass will be about 2.5 hours long. It will be mostly in Latin. It will be led by Cardinal Ray. He is the Dean of the College of Cardinals. And then we will see a procession to the Basilica of St. Mary Major.
A 19-year-old facing arson charges in a wildfire that began in New Jersey and has so far burned more than 15,000 acres. Prosecutors accused him of lighting some wooden pallets to start a bonfire. Patricia Orvitz among the thousands forced to leave their homes.
It was scary. I mean, the flames were very high and very bright and all different colors.
Dow futures down 167. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-378-5959. That's 800-378-5959. Once again, 800-378-5959.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. The House Criminal Justice Committee votes to advance a bill that would repeal the statute that allows for financial compensation of those who serve time in prison for crimes they did not commit. Attorney General Liz Murrill has said the burden of compensation should be borne at the local level instead of the state, but not everyone agrees. Meredith Engelson testified against it, saying most wrongfully convicted people are not being fully compensated now as it is.
The average person who is wrongfully convicted in Louisiana and later they're exonerated has served nearly 20 years in prison. We stopped paying them through the wrongful conviction fund at 10 years.
About 200,000 people are expected at the Vatican tomorrow for the funeral of Pope Francis. The funeral service will be held at St. Peter's Square. Bishop Michael Duca of the Diocese of Baton Rouge got to meet Pope Francis just a few years ago.
When you meet him, he's exactly what you think he's going to be like. He's warm, big smile on his face, always answer our questions directly.
LRN.
Your honeymoon, anniversary, graduation, or birthday deserves more than just a party. It deserves an epic adventure. Sip wine in Tuscan villages among rolling olive groves. Soak up the sun or explore the rainforest in breathtaking Belize. Sail the crystal waters of Croatia on a dreamy island-hopping cruise. Annie and Christine at FreedomTravelLLC.com can make your next celebration legendary. Freedom Travel, where your journey begins.
Well, a good Friday morning, a mixture of sunshine and clouds on our Friday. We'll see the afternoon high temperatures up to about 83. Now, we do have a possibility of an afternoon shower thunderstorm, about a 60% chance of that. Partly cloudy tonight, we'll go down to 64. And they get ready for a great weekend. Partly cloudy skies on Saturday, the highs 86. We're seeing sunshine on Sunday with the highs 88. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Grayson. Currently 71 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
All right, welcome back, everyone, for hour number 2 of Talkback here on KSYL. Al Quartermont and Nathan Martin with you. Coming up at 8:30, we'll talk with Kira Wong O'Connor. She's the head of youth safety policy engagement at Meta. Last year, Meta launched what's called Instagram Teen Accounts, a new experience for teens with built-in age-appropriate protections and parental supervision tools. This week, Meta rolled out a plan to ensure Louisiana teens are accurately representing their age on Instagram and, if eligible, enrolled in a teen account. So we'll find out more about that coming up at 8:30. In the meantime, we have open line here on the BOM Bank Talkline at 442-8255. Let's go to the phone. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, Big Al and Big Nate.
Whoa!
I recognize that voice.
What are you calling from, a payphone?
No, don't worry. Look, I was at all the committee meetings for the AmLambs committee. I spoke for Acadian AmLambs as a citizen. And Panther has some problems, too. There's a Gulfport incident problem in Gulfport, Mississippi that they're not talking about. Now, the only thing about the meeting, they would have the meetings where people who were working could not come. And they asked why there wasn't much citizen participation. And that was why. If they would set the meetings at 5 or 6 o'clock where people who were working could come out. I'm sorry about the problems in DeVille. I heard the firefighter from DeVille say they don't make their time. But this is what I want to say about Acadian AmLambs. They come to all the city council meetings in Alexandria and Pineville, I know for sure. Pafford, I don't think they've been to maybe but 1 or 2 meetings. So they're not there all the time. And when I got beat down last April the 2nd, 2024, if it hadn't been for Acadian AmLambs being there, I would have probably died. Now, it seems like everybody that's tried to help me has been destroyed. So I don't know if there's something behind all this stuff, because there's nothing wrong with Acadian AmLambs. They saved my father when he tried to save somebody in a balloon that he thought was in the balloon at the Christmas tree farm toward Marksville. They had the air medevac him from there to Rapides General. And my mom, they've done. So I can understand probably in the rural areas they've had bad times. But Sheriff McCain, I heard what Dave said, but Sheriff McCain was representing about 3 or 4 sheriffs saying that we needed Acadian AmLambs. All the hospitals said we needed Acadian AmLambs. All the nursing homes said we needed Acadian AmLambs. What they have a training center now to help train their paramedics and stuff. Mm-hmm. And what the Panther didn't tell you, I believe Acadian is number 1 and number 2 in the nation on their training and everything and what they train for. Now, he said that they're all just EMTs. I think they're more than that, like I said. And I'm sure Acadian's working with LSUA and probably LCU and all the other local schools and colleges. And I'm sure they have a program for the high school. I hope Paul or somebody from Acadian AmLambs would call in, because
they show the area of the state, and in case we have a mass casualty event like a shooting at a school and stuff, air assets and AMLAM assets would be here in no time. I want to know if Panthers has any high water vehicles, because it floods around here. Can they respond with high water vehicles for floods or any mass casualty events with air assets and and AMLAMs? Because Acadian surrounds pretty much Rapides Parish, so they can call on anything. Panthers way up there in the north. I don't know how long it would take Panther to get air assets and AMLAM assets here if we did have a mass casualty event like a school shooting or bus accident or anything like that. So I know in the bill they got some hard and bad feelings about Acadian AMLAM, but I'm sure that they're getting their times up. You got to have enough people to try to make them times work out too. So thank you for letting me rant. God bless America, and God bless us all.
Thank you, Cornelius.
Yeah, good to hear from you. It's been a while.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I heard your voice. I was delighted to hear from you. It's nice to hear you again.
Well, like I said, I love y'all all. I love Talkback Live, and I miss Miss Becky, and I guess Concordia's passed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I said, but we haven't heard from him for quite some time.
I know he was in the Regency House at one time, and I just never did hear no more from him after that. And I never did know his real name.
Right. Not either. That's the downside sometimes of these little nicknames we give people. We may not know who they are, like FedEx Sam, and we do know who UBS Dave is because he's actually become a time-to-time co-host. But we know who Cornelius is. Love you, brother.
Well, I hope the sheriffs come in and call in, too.
All right. Thanks, Cornelius. Have a good one. Bye. Let's take more calls. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, I'm not Cornelius or the sheriff, so.
Well, thank you for distinguishing that fact.
But I guess that's I hadn't heard from Cornelius in a long time. Did he get a new phone?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I know Dave told me that he had unblocked his number. He told me that directly. Okay. And then, but Cornelius was with me one day, and he called the number, and it didn't work. So I don't know the details of that, but looks like we'll be hearing more from Cornelius, and, you got to love him.
Yeah. Yeah. But y'all are talking about the draft. Where do you think Shadir is going to go?
That's the question. Nobody seems to know right now.
You think the Saints?
I mean, if he's available in the second round, because the Saints don't pick till about 40th, but I don't know. How do you predict the Saints? It seems like the obvious picks they never go with, and then the guys they do pick never work out. So I couldn't begin to guess what they're going to do.
Yeah, he needs a big payday, I guess. I don't know. He needs somewhere flat. He can be flashy and all.
I don't know. Yeah, I just think that kind of the culture that has surrounded him the last couple of years at Colorado. I mean, even the thing where they're retiring his number, it's like, for what?
Yeah,
what you really accomplish?
That was weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there was a rumor that when he had a birthday party, none of his teammates came. So I think the general concern with him is that he's all about himself and may not be a great teammate, leader type guy, which in the NFL, that's not going to play. If you come into a team of veterans that have been there and you're going to come in acting all big time, it's just not going to sell well. So somebody will take him. I mean, it'll get to a point where the upside will be worth it versus the risk if you're using a late second round pick. I mean,
yeah,
I got to think somebody's going to take him. I just have no idea who that will be.
Well, the Browns have 2 picks before the Saints pick number 40th, and the Browns supposedly are looking for somebody, and they've got they do need a quarterback. They've got the 33rd and the 36th, and the Saints have the 40th, and 33rd will be the first pick today. So we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of like the Saints to hold on and get Arch Manning for when he comes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's another rumor. But, I mean, what's that guy really done? I mean, he's not even the starter at Texas. So, quarterback is very, very hit and miss. I mean, if you look at the first round, it seems like about a third of the first round quarterbacks that get drafted actually work out. So,
I think with all this, you don't really know what the players are actually going to be like until 1 to 2 or 3 seasons from now. It's kind of like people get all upset. Some guy was getting all upset. I saw him on Facebook. He was getting all upset about Shadur not getting picked, and he was saying he was some kind of conspiracy thing.
The greatest quarterback in the history of the Saints was Drew Brees, and the teams passed on him in the first round because of his size. So he goes in the second round to San Diego, ends up being a pretty good player for them, but then at the point where he becomes a free agent, they had drafted Phillip Rivers, and they're like, well, so they let Drew Brees go. Dolphins bring him in. They're worried that his shoulder hadn't completely healed, so they've taken a pass, and the Saints, kind of got lucky, if you will, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, but along the way, whether it's the Saints or other franchises, for every good quarterback that emerges in the NFL draft, you probably have 10 that flame out. It's really weird.
I listened to a neat interview yesterday with Charles Barkley that a lot of people hated on for a long time, and he had that commercial that said, "Don't respect me," or "I'm not a role model," I think is what it was.
Right.
And he was given an explanation of why he did that. He said, "I did that because I shouldn't be the role model to your children. You should be the role model to your children."
Right.
And he talked about how part of the reason he did that was he goes to schools and he asks who wants to play in the major leagues or professional sports. And he said if he goes to typically majority white school, it'll be 10% raise their hand or whatever. And he asks them what they want to be, and they want to be doctors and lawyers and architects. And if he goes to a minority school, mostly black school, he said 90% of the kids will raise their hands because they think that's where their future is. He said, but there's only 400 people playing in the NBA at any time, the 400 best in the world. So your chances are better. Go be a doctor. Go be an architect. Go be a scientist. And so that's, and when you're hearing him lay that out, and he talked about how, 90-95% of the responses he got to that were very positive, but the 5 to 10% were hugely vocal, and they didn't understand his motivation. And I say all that to say it's the same thing. Even if you're drafted, that's not a guarantee of success. Nope. There's a whole lot more to it than just that. And so hats off to those who have the right attitude, and good luck to those who are making the choices.
Right, exactly. So it's really, when it comes down to the NFL draft, it's kind of a crapshoot. And if there were a perfect science to it, if somebody had it figured out, then every pick they may make would end up being great. But as you see, a lot of times they just aren't. And there have been several players that have been passed. I mean, Dan Marino he was like the 5th player taken in that 83 draft. Because that was the draft where you had John Elway, you had, trying to think who else, Jim Kelly, I think, Ken O'Brien, Todd Blackledge. I think the Patriots took a guy. So Marino, there were rumors that, he was a little bit of a pothead when he was in college. Yeah. So I'm talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In the quarterback draft. So, Dolphins were a great team already. I think they were coming off a Super Bowl appearance, but they had David Woodley, who wasn't exactly, Joe Namath. So, let's take a chance. And then, so. All right, let's go to more calls this morning. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, doing well. Just driving through and heard the conversation. Whenever I was a classroom teacher, is that AMMS and Grant High School, and you're right. Everybody's, I'm going to be football, going to be basketball, going to be professional. And I tried to get as many teachers as I could on board with me to not say, what's your backup plan? Because then it's like, well, when you fail at that, what are you going to do? I would say, what's your next step? Like, what do you mean? It's like, well, Michael Jordan, while he was doing his thing, was getting all these contracts with Energizer and Haynes, and he was making a name for himself. Nolan Ryan, which I had to explain to him who Nolan Ryan was, but, is a big-time cattle rancher. Most of the athletes that continued to be successful after didn't have a backup plan. They had a next step. Now, I know and the other teachers know, and parents know that there's only 400 players. So we know that it's not really going to be their next step. It's going to be their backup plan. But as you phrase it to the kids, saying, you need to work on your accounting, you need to work on your math. It's like, well, I'm going to be a singer. It's like, do a Google search on how many singers agents robbed them. Well, they're not going to rob me. It's like, you don't know you don't know how to do a tax rate on something. They're going to steal 1% from you. That's going to be $100,000 because you're making $10 million a year, and you're not going to know that they stole that from you because you didn't do your math. And so I kind of use it as a leg up to encourage them to work on other things in a conjunction with knowing that only a small percentage of them are going to make it as a professional athlete. And so it's kind of a different take on it, but still gets the same end result.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was Barkley's point, too, is that even so many of his fellow players in college didn't get their degree because they were only focused on going to the NBA. They didn't make it to the NBA. They didn't have a degree. And he said many of them had horrible life outcomes because they weren't prepared for their next step. I like the way you said that.
Yeah. All right. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you.
I've also heard Barkley say, I never got my college degree, but I have a lot of people work for me who have theirs.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Dentures. You can't live with them, and you definitely can't live without them. But what if we told you there's a better way? Today's Dental in Pineville is here to revolutionize your smile. Say goodbye to old-fashioned adhesives and endless appointments. They've made getting implants incredibly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. Picture this. In-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist, making the procedure low anxiety and stress-free. And the best part? Their multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. Don't wait. If you're ready to replace those old-timey dentures with permanent implants, call Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540. Your perfect smile is just a call away. Today's Dental, because you deserve the best.
In Central Louisiana, when you're talking great food, you're talking Southern Creations Country Lunch Buffet. At the base of the Jackson Street Bridge in Pineville, this Best of the Best award-winning lunch buffet is remarkable, featuring their signature fried chicken every day, an awesome variety of menu choices, and homemade desserts, including the now famous white chocolate bread pudding. No one does lunch better. Come have lunch with a friend or a group at Southern Creations. Daily menus posted on Facebook.
Steel deals are happening now. From instant savings on select tools to free battery offers on some of our most popular battery tool sets. You can enjoy great deals and do it all with Steel. Shop online or in store at your local Steel dealer. Offer valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
Cinema Broadcasting is local, so we promote the locals.
Lily of the Valley Ministries is a nonprofit pro-life organization that provides an alternative to abortion for mothers of unborn children. The organization provides spiritual, emotional, and substantive support to those who are blessed with the gift of motherhood but are not well prepared. They also provide post-abortion support classes to those who have had an abortion but are now dealing with the heavy emotional aftermath. Learn more at lilyofthevalleyministries.com.
This has been a public service reminder from Cinema Broadcasting.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
And we are back, and let's go back to the phones. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Okay, they have something called the transfer portal in college athletics, correct?
That's correct.
Are these athletes actually being physically paid by someone?
Are they being physically paid by someone?
That is correct. Are they now being paid by someone? Maybe not the college, but by someone.
The NIL deals?
Yeah, a lot of the players get what they call NIL money, where they're paid for their name, image, or likeness. That's why last year, if you remember, during the college football season, there was a Gordon McKernan commercial that had several LSU players on it.
Okay, what is the difference between that and professional athletics?
That's the argument right now. People feel like it's not really the same, that they've changed it so drastically. I mean, you just had the big controversy with the quarterback at Tennessee who was getting like $2.5 million guaranteed in NIL. Well, wanted $4 million. And Tennessee said, you know what? Bye. But UCLA was like, oh, we're more than happy to take you. So it's changing the whole structure of the system to where your top tier players for sure are getting some big money. Now, you take a college football program, you're going to have 100 players. Not every one of those guys is going to be getting a lot of money. Some might not even be getting that much money at all. But if they don't like their situation they're in now, they have way more flexibility to go somewhere else. And even last night, you saw there were a few players that were drafted where they had only spent 1 year at the school that they had gotten drafted from. So it's changed loyalties. It's made it much more of a transactional type experience for a lot of the top college football players. People feel like it's hurting the game. I think it is too, but now the genie's out of the bottle. How do you put it back in?
Well, it seems like to me, just disconnect them from the universities.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been an argument actually for a while, that people felt, even 20 or 30 years ago, I heard that argument that really it's time to just do away with college athletics as being part of a college. So I don't know.
Well, it just seems really bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not in the spirit of amateurism that you used to have, giving it the old college try, playing for your university because you're proud of it. Players that went through that older system are still very loyal to their schools. Peyton Manning is very loyal to Tennessee. I mean, you can think of 100 examples. Bo Jackson's very loyal to Auburn. LSU players that have been very loyal to LSU. But now the loyalties are kind of gone, and it's more like you're just loyal to yourself. So, of course, coaches have been doing this for a long time, too. So now the players are getting to dabble into that.
Well, I guess the world is changing.
It is. It is. So, all right. Thank you for the call. Let's take another one. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, good morning. Just calling in about the Acadian versus Pafford thing.
Yeah.
I have no skin in the game, don't work for either one of the services, but being a medical professional in central Louisiana, I've witnessed the lack of Acadian response in the emergency field. They're not immune to the staffing challenges of any other industry. But, if they were such a great option, we would have never started looking for other options. There's a reason that this came about after them having a contract for almost 30 years. If it wasn't broken, no one would be trying to fix it.
I think you make a great point.
And I think that's a question that should be asked.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point that you're making. And you're right. If it's not broke, then why would you try to fix it?
Exactly. And Acadian has been the elephant that they've, been able to monopolize an area. And I don't think that's good for our local citizens when they're in emergency need to have a monopoly, because there's no room. There's nobody going to come in and take it away from them as long as they have this monopoly. So I'm not even sure that one system or one ambulance provider system is the greatest, but obviously what we had wasn't working. So I think it's time for a change. Give somebody else the opportunity to do better.
Well, apparently that's what the committee had felt, and that's what the majority of the police jury felt as well, with a 5-4 decision. So we'll see how it all shakes out with the legal process now, but I appreciate your call this morning.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. We need to take a break. When we come back, Kira Wong O'Connor from Meta will be with us, and we'll be talking more about some programs that they've put in regarding Instagram and how to keep your teenager safe. So we'll do that as we continue on a Friday Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stock futures point to a lower open for Wall Street this morning. Shares of Intel are lower ahead of the opening bell. The company delivered an outlook that was weaker than expected. New CEO Lip-Bu Tan, in delivering his first earnings report as CEO, said Intel's bureaucratic corporate culture needs a shakeup, so he's going to cut jobs, remove layers of management, and force everyone back to the office. Google's parent Alphabet reported first quarter revenue and profit that beat Wall Street expectations, boosted by ongoing strength in its search advertising business. Investors liked what they heard. The company needs to make sure it's keeping up the momentum in search ads in the cloud business to justify the investments in artificial intelligence. And Alphabet shares are higher in pre-market trading. Yesterday marked the third straight session of gains on Wall Street, ranging from around 1.25% to almost 2.75%. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The cost of air travel is more than just the ticket price. It's also fuel, meals, lodging, parking, and time. Recalculating. The more we fly AEX, the better our chances of bringing back flights to Houston and Charlotte. Support AEX and help our community grow. Find your true cost at local.flyaex.org.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Ooma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
So good Friday morning, a mixture of sunshine and clouds on our Friday. We'll see the afternoon high temperatures up to about 83. Now, we do have a possibility of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, about a 60% chance of that. Partly cloudy tonight, we'll go down to 64. And they get ready for a great weekend. Partly cloudy skies on Saturday, the highs 86. We're seeing sunshine on Sunday with the highs 88. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 72 degrees in Cenla.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part of the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
All right, welcome back, everyone, on your Friday morning. Al Quartermont, Nathan Martin with you. Very pleased to be joined from Los Angeles, California, Kira Wong O'Connor. She works with Meta. And we're going to find out more about a new program they have regarding keeping your teenager safe. Good morning, Kira. How are you today?
I'm good, Al. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. We will mention that Kira's official title is Head of Youth Safety Policy Engagement. Why is it so important for an organization like Meta to focus on youth safety in this online world that we live in now?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and probably one that parents who are listening, as a parent myself, we know how important it is to keep our young people safe, whether that's like out in the world, crossing the street, or whether it's online. We want to make sure that our teens and our young people are having the most safe experiences possible. And, particularly on Instagram, we have a lot of young users, and we want to make sure that they are able to have these really safe, protected experiences, which is why we've recently launched teen accounts. I don't know if you've heard of teen accounts yet, but these are built-in protections that we have for anyone who's under the age of 18, and this means they're going to be automatically placed into Instagram's safest settings, so put into private accounts automatically. They're going to be restricted from messaging people, strangers, people they don't know. And they're also going to have time limit reminders, so every 60 minutes or 60 minutes during one 24-hour period, you're going to get a reminder saying, you should think about closing the app. You've been on for 60 minutes. So we're really thinking of ways to keep young people safe on our platform, and we're constantly evolving how we do this and ways to do this as kind of our environment and our world changes.
I know some adults who might need the 60-minute reminder, just as an aside. But I
need it too, to be honest.
I have a 19-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son, and they've grown up with Instagram as part of their lives. So obviously, this is not going to affect my 19-year-old. But what are the difference between teen accounts and those for adults?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And you have 15 and 19-year-olds, like to your point, they've really grown up with this. And I think we're really entering this new era. And I do believe that Meta's leading the way here, and that we should expect protections automatically placed for teens. And so if you are a teen under the age of 18, you will automatically get things like a private account. So this means your account's not going to be public. And that's going to be mandatory. If you're under 16, you won't even able to change it unless a parent gives you permission to do that. So for your 15-year-old, they're in teen accounts. If they wanted to change one of these settings, they would have to set up what we call parental supervision and ask you for permission to even have a public account. And we really think this is important, especially in those early teen years, 13 to 15, where you're just becoming a teenager, just starting to kind of understand yourself. You're going to need to involve a parent to change any of our safety settings. But as you get older, 16, 17, I don't know about you all, but I had a job. I was driving when I was 16. You start really kind of entering this adulthood phase in your life. So you are able to change those on your own at that age. So that's the main difference with teen accounts, is that you're automatically placed into settings like private accounts, these daily limit reminders. You're restricted from messaging people you don't know, which really responds to the three top concerns we've heard from parents, but also from young people, is that they don't want to be contacted by people they don't know. They don't want to see content that is not age appropriate, and they do need help around time limits. I mean, to your point, I need that, and I'm, in my midlife already. So these are things that we're really hoping to instill, kind of behavioral things in young people when they're using Meta, particularly Instagram.
Is this going to apply to existing accounts? And if so, how will you make the connection between the child and the parent to pair them up properly?
Yeah, so this is with existing and new accounts. So even if you already are on Instagram, you would be enrolled in this automatically, even if you've had an existing Instagram account. And then with parental supervision, if you try to change any of these settings in teen accounts, you have to fill in your parents' Instagram account. So then you connect them, both of you have to agree to it. And then you're able to set up parental supervision. I will call out, because I know not everyone is in a situation where they may live with their parents, is you could have someone like an auntie or an uncle or an adult cousin. I know for me, I grew up in a multi-generational household, so if I was a teen on Instagram now, I could add my grandma, she was on Instagram. So we do allow for kind of flexibility in terms of what your family structure may look like when it comes to parental supervision.
Kira, my full-time work, I teach college students, and sometimes I'll be in the classroom and they'll be discussing things and the experiences that they have online, especially young women, and kind of getting hit up on by people that slide into their DMs, as they say, and that sort of thing. I think the danger in what parents have been voicing is that young people a lot of times just don't know how to handle that, and they can get sucked into a situation quickly before they know it, and out of fear or shame or whatnot, aren't willing to really go to their parents or an adult and let them know. And as we know, the outcomes in some cases have been even kids taking their own lives because of things like sexploitation. So I applaud you guys for doing this, and how much of what you've done in the last year is in response to what you've heard in terms of those kinds of stories.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, anytime something like that happens, it's incredibly sad. And I think we were speaking earlier, for, the vast majority of young people are having a good experience on Instagram and online in general. But of course, there are going to be these instances, and we do hear from young people, from parents, from educators, that there are issues that come up, which is why we really proactively build tools. You mentioned sextortion. We just recently launched a curriculum with Child Help that really addresses this, and it calls out red flags for people to be aware of, and from every angle, for educators, for teens, for parents, because this may not happen to you or your family, but you may have a friend. And this is where I think it's really important. To your point, young people don't always go to their parents or their teachers. They often go to their friends. And so we're building curriculums that help other teens talk to each other about these issues and spot red flags, because sometimes it's not immediately noticeable what is happening. So the curriculum that we built with Child Help really helps you find or see those red flags and then how to respond to it. So we've definitely heard and listened from young people and guardians around issues that they might have. And with teen accounts, we really hope that something like, to your point around sliding into DMs, you're not going to be able to do that, because on teen accounts, you have to already be connected. You can't just have a stranger connect you or contact you. So we really hope that these settings are going to limit the type of contact for young people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I know you have this for Instagram. Is there something that Meta has for Facebook, or do you find that teens aren't using Facebook as much?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, funnily enough, I was at an event with parents, and they were saying that their teens in this high school were using Facebook to invite people to their birthday parties because they thought it was kind of vintage, which I thought was quite a funny story.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, but you know what? It is a really good tool to invite people. But we do actually have it on Instagram and Messenger. We just launched it. I think it's 3 weeks ago now. So if you're using a Meta platform, parents can really have that peace of mind that they have built-in automatic protection for their young people if you're using Instagram, Facebook, or Messenger. So I'm really excited about teen accounts. We've seen some really positive results. Like for that 13 to 15-year-old age group, we've seen that 97% of young early teens are not changing these protective settings. So they're staying in the strictest settings, which to me is like the most positive, like job affirming stat that I could have, is that young people are staying in these settings. So parents can really know that if they're using Instagram, teens are having a positive experience, but it's still hopefully an opportunity for parents and teens to talk about their online use.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there, how teens can be more savvy than their parents when it comes to tech. Can they work around some of those restrictions that their parents put in place, or is that safeguarded that they can't do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that we all know and remember what it was like to be a teenager and how we would kind of try and bend the rules, and we anticipated that would happen when we built teen accounts. We all remember being teens ourselves, but just a couple of days ago, we actually announced that we've begun testing ways to make sure that we can understand how old a user might be. So we're using AI technology when we're testing this just in the U.S. now to proactively find accounts that we think may belong to teens, even if it says they have an adult birthday. So then we're able to put them into age verification so that they have to prove that they are the age they say. So that is something that we've really invested in and really seeing some great innovation happening in terms of being able to tell how old you are. And then the other thing we just announced is that we're asking parents to check how old their young person is. So we're saying, you know what, we have these teen accounts. This is a good opportunity for you to talk to your teen and ask them to check their settings to make sure they have the right age so that you can have age-appropriate experiences. And then we also offer with this little notification that parents have resources to have these conversations, because we've heard that often can be the toughest part of having conversations with your teen, is just getting started, how to enter the conversation around having a safe online experience. And so that's something we're working on, between proactively doing this to kind of ease the burden on parents, but then also offering resources to parents to have these conversations.
Last question. Where can parents go to get more information about all of this that Meta is doing with Instagram?
the easiest, best place that I could say is just Google Family Center at Meta, and you'll have all the information around parental supervision, teen accounts, making sure teens are in the safest, protective state. And then you can also just find out resources from different organizations across the country that can help you understand more about Instagram and social media, but also to how to have these conversations with your teen. So highly encourage Meta's Family Center.
Awesome. Kira Wong O'Connor is the head of youth safety policy engagement at Meta. Our guest here on Talkback. It's Instagram teen accounts. You can find out more information. Kira, thank you so much for joining us this morning, all the way from Los Angeles, getting up early. We really appreciate that.
Thank you guys so much. Have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well. And we'll take a break. More Talkback coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is Dr. Jonathan Hunter with The Clinics, where we pride ourselves in providing exceptional care. We offer a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, acute and urgent care, podiatry, and gastroenterology, along with an on-site lab and x-ray. Our new family medicine physician, Dr. Noah Miller, is accepting new patients. Same-day appointments are available, and most insurance and Medicare are accepted. The Clinics, Marksville, 4242 Highway 1192, 402-4073, online at theclinics.us. All right, everyone. Dean will lead off on the mic. Today's agenda, AI chat.
Have a question? Need help right now? Visit Say's Office Supply online, and with just one click, you can start chatting with us instantly.
Oh, no, you're not.
Now what?
You're not sending my customers to some bot. Yeah, sorry, Dean. That's just not going to work.
What are y'all talking about? We've got the best AI there is.
Please don't make my customers chat with artificial intelligence.
I thought you knew me better than that. When I said AI, I meant Alexandria intelligence. When you chat with Say's online, you always get us on the other end of the chat.
So what you're saying is our Chat Now feature connects you to our expert team in seconds. No waiting on hold, no email delays, just fast, friendly support whenever you need it.
That's right. No matter what you need, we're here to help you right now.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You heard it, folks. Go to saysoffice.com and chat with them today.
You get it all at Say's Office Supply.
Feel like no one really gets you and what you're going through? Louisiana 988 can help. The free confidential helpline has specialists who focus on serving the LGBTQ+ communities, connecting you to local resources, or just offering a listening ear. Share as much or as little as you want. Most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7. Text or call 988 anytime.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Do you have a drug problem? Do you want to stop? Well, there are folks who can help. Call Narcotics Anonymous at 1-585-DON'T-USE or visit their website at larna.org for more information.
Talkback. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
All right, we're back. Alan Nathan with you here on this Friday, and that was definitely an interesting topic that we just had. And as parents, like you said, you've got 2 teenagers. One's a little older. One's kind of in that sweet spot that she was referring to. All of our kids have kind of aged out now at this point. We have one that's 18, soon to be 19, but he's not like a heavy social media user anyway, I've noticed. But, you know, listening to you and I were both talking about the Morning Wire this morning, they had the story where John Rich is working with the White House on trying to prevent what's called sexploitation. What's happening is you're getting these creeps that will present themselves to teenagers, younger kids, as being their age. So if you have a 14-year-old boy, they'll present themselves as a 13-year-old girl maybe, and get you to start exchanging information, text messages, whatnot, and then all of a sudden you're exchanging pictures, and then the pictures get more lewd, and then, your child's giving them pictures, and then they're like, ha, then they've got you, and they're like, we're going to expose this, and we're going to put you on, we're going to publish these for everyone to see unless you send us money, or, they'll threaten to, come burn your house down and do all these kinds of things, where some kids have taken their lives because they felt so boxed in and trapped that they panic and they do something drastic like that. And it's just, the people that would do this to children are despicable.
Well, and you said a 14-year-old boy maybe pretending to be a 13-year-old girl. It may be a 35-year-old guy in
no, that's
Nigeria.
what I'm saying. Yeah, he's yes.
And they're sitting in a room full of other people doing the same thing.
Right.
Just trying to exploit. They try to get the kids to take pictures of their parents' credit cards, or they, try to, send me $500 or almost blast this to all your people.
Yeah.
And, I've seen that come through a couple times. I've sent it to my kids, telling them, if you ever get caught up in something like this, I want you to know you can come to me. I'm not going to shame you. I will get you out of the situation.
Right.
Obviously, I don't want you in this. I don't want you talking to people. But if you ever mess up, do not, take that drastic measure. And those are hard conversations. I kind of chuckle when we were talking with Kira a while ago. Because of my work at Grace Christian School, I've had over the years friend requests from students that would send me their friend requests, and they may be 13 or 15 years old. I try to be really careful with that, but it's funny because their birthdays will say that they're 21. And then now, 10 years later, it says they're 31 years old. They get a birthday, happy birthday. Oh, yeah, you're not 31. You're just now 21.
Yeah.
So kids know how, you had a great question. Kids know how to get around that stuff.
Right.
Interesting use of AI, she said, that they're using, which, some people might be nervous about AI, but that may be one of the good uses.
Oh, for sure. There'll be many good uses as well as, unfortunately, more nefarious uses. But it is an interesting topic. It's just something that parents need to be aware of, and not just take it for granted that your kids know how to negotiate that. So, because the downside of it is if something drastically bad happens, and you'll find out after the fact. So, all right, we'll take a break. More Talkback coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics, with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
For over 35 years, Security Metal Roofing has been Cenla's trusted name for metal buildings and roofing. When it comes to the highest quality materials at rock-bottom prices and top-tier service, nobody does it better. And don't worry, great prices doesn't mean cutting corners. Our Cool Chemistry color sheeting comes with a 40-year warranty, plus the peace of mind that comes with a team that has over 150 years of combined experience. From sheeting and red iron to roll-up doors and insulation, you get more for your money at Security Metal Roofing. Whether you need a new roof, carport, or are building your dream shop, we're here to help every step of the way. Apples to apples, we won't be undersold, and that's a guarantee. Call 445-0223 for your quote today, or visit us at Security Metal Roofing on Masonic Drive in Alexandria, or online at securitymetalroofing.com. Security Metal Roofing, your local experts in metal roofing and buildings, where quality, service, and price come together.
Jeff Landry is working hard to bring down outrageous insurance costs. Jeff is holding both trial lawyers and insurance companies accountable because they are both to blame. Last year, Governor Landry signed 27 bills to fix insurance and fight lawsuit abuse. This year, Governor Landry is fighting for more to stop frivolous lawsuits, stop uninsured drivers from suing, and end trial lawyer ads that promote a culture of suing. Landry listened to insurance companies and signed into law nearly every bill they promised would drive rates down. Well, insurance broke their promise and rates went up. Now Landry is trying something new. Hold insurance companies accountable when rates go up. Our insurance commissioner should have the power to reject their rate hikes when they rake in billions in profit. To learn about Governor Landry's plan to fix our insurance crisis, visit fixthecrisis.la. Paid for by Protect Louisiana Values.
Louisiana has a free hearing aids program sponsored by the Louisiana Commission for the Deaf and coordinated by New Horizons Independent Living Center here in Cenla. To qualify for a free hearing aid, you must be a resident of Louisiana, at least 50 years of age or older. You must also meet the hearing loss and annual household income criteria. Now, if you do, your hearing aid is absolutely free. To find out if you qualify, call New Horizons Independent Living Center at 318-484-3596.
Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back for the final segment of the morning, final segment of the week, as I like to say at this point. Again, the NFL draft continues tonight. You know, we're talking about AI in the break a little bit. I just put into Google NFL draft round 2, and AI, or Google Gemini, is that what they call it? Said, here's a breakdown of some of the notable picks in round 2, which hasn't happened.
I know. Yet. I got the same thing earlier. He gave me the picks.
It's got Shedeur Sanders going to Cleveland with the first pick of the second round, which could be possible. Could be. They have the Houston Texans taking Luther Burden the third as a wide receiver out of Missouri. And it kind of goes on from there. With their second pick in the second round, they have the Cleveland Browns taking Travion Henderson, the great running back out of Ohio State. But I'm like, wait, how do they know this? So they're just obviously probably compiling what all the experts are saying. But yeah, Cleveland holds the first pick of the second round, followed by Houston, Tennessee, and Cleveland. So the Browns have 2 of the first 4 picks in that second round. The Saints pick 8th, number 40 overall in the second round. So regarding Shedeur Sanders, would the Saints take him if he's there at number 40? Possibly, but will he be there at 40, seeing that the Browns have 2 picks to take? You just don't know how teams are going to draft, though. You just really don't know. So, you know, even like a team, I'm looking down the list, like let's say Shedeur keeps slipping, get to number 16, Miami Dolphins. Would they take a chance on a guy like Shedeur, knowing that they have Tua Tagovailoa, who gets hurt all the time? You know, would that be a worthwhile possible pick? You know, so who knows? But it'll be fun to watch and see how it all breaks down today.
Well, it shocked me because earlier I had done a Google search for, just like you did, for the picks, and it gave me this full listing of the second round, and I had to go, wait a minute, that hasn't happened yet, but it presented it as if it had. So
yeah. Isn't that weird?
Watch that. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, so that's what they had for their predictions. So generative AI is experimental.
Very much so. Are you using more and more?
Not quite yet. I'm going to try over the summer to spend a little time learning more about it. You know, I feel like AI is one of those things where, like the higher education world is like, oh, AI, the kids are going to use it to cheat, and they probably do. But the reality is, in a lot of working applications that they're going into in the future, they're going to be using it. Of course. So we were talking the other day about how even you can generate like sermons from it. Or no, that wasn't you. It was someone else I was talking to.
Well, I've talked with people about it because I've used it for sermon research.
Yeah. He said, give me a 3-point sermon on blah, 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 and it spit it out in like 30 seconds. And he's like, you know, the danger with that is that you could do that out of laziness, but you're not really spending time in God's Word meditating, which is really the point. I saw even the other day, John Piper posted, he put into AI, you know, give me a prayer about this in the voice of, or some theologian would do it, and it was really impressive. But as he said, it's not really true. It's, you know, it's a production, it's a fake, it's a copy. So I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to see where it all kind of goes from here.
It really will be. Hopefully we'll find ways to use it well.
Yeah.
And then safeguards can be put up against the bad stuff.
Right, exactly. And I think that's the point. And I don't know. I'm usually an early adopter when it comes to technology, but this one I've been a little slow on.
So I've been using it to punch up some social media stuff, and that's been helpful.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I'll be back with Sandra on Monday. Hope you all have a great weekend. Nathan, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers.